Gen Z, the most sexless generation ever. Look, don't get me wrong. He is not wrong at the end of the day. Gen Z, I feel like this generation, we just literally don't give a fuck. We either we are desperate for girls, or we don't even know how to talk to one. I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know the rest. Anyways, credits as shout out goes to Mori. And before we begin, make sure you guys like and sub, because I'm gonna be uploading like this every single day. And without further ado, let's just get straight to it.
Why Gen Z isn't having sex?
Why?
Yeah, I think I know why.
Picture a country where 1 in 4 young men hasn't been touched by another person in over a year.
You mean
Damn.
No
America?
kiss, no date, nothing. That country
Wonder
is
what country
yours.
that is.
In the early 2010s, about 9% of American men in their 20s and early 30s said they had no sex in the past year.
All right, we got to read this. Men and women ages 22 to 34 reporting no sex in the past year. Percentage of people who reported no sex in the past year, 9% in 2013 to 2025. I wonder how.
That's not bad. That's not bad. 2013 to 2015, that's not bad.
People who reported no sex in the past year, 9%.
2013 to 2015, I swear that's not bad. 9% only on my days it jumped to 21. That is fucking crazy.
Number had nearly tripled, 24%, 1 in 4. Women
is
climbed
crazy.
too, from 8% to 13%, still
Yeah.
rising.
But not as bad as men for obvious
The
reasons.
share of Americans having sex at least once a week collapsed, 55% in 1990, 37% in 2024,
And you wonder why the birth rate is
an
collapsing.
18-point drop.
Crazy. I'm gonna blame social media, internet, lack of touching grass, lack of third spaces really, and everything being just incredibly expensive. And
Yeah,
let's say
true.
the imaginary online gender war. Like in real life, none of this matters. I don't really see men and women yelling at each other, but of course online people feel safe and anonymous.
But this goes far deeper than the bedroom.
Wow.
Americans used to spend over 6 hours a week with friends. Now
Right,
the average
exactly.
person gets 35 minutes a day of face-to-face socializing.
Yep, that is something that you know, we can all compare. If you were a 90s kid or an early 2000s kid, you knew like during the summertime or you know during your whatever break, you
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to just go out, play with kids outside. I don't even know the kids, but I just used to talk to them. I had this type of coffee to just go talk and play with them outside. I didn't even have a phone back then. I'm not saying that I'm an unk, but I'm just saying that my parents were a bit strict with me using a phone back then when I was 8. The first phone I had is when I was 12. I can't even imagine that. That's why I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm an unk. I'm just saying first phone I had was 12, and I'm actually thanking God till this point for this kind of discipline. I can't imagine my son being 7 talking about some Bonnie Blue and shit. No thank you, I'm not dealing with that.
were with your friends 6, 7, 8 hours a day just hanging out, bro. There really was social media. The internet was a thing, but it really wasn't as
Teenager-
pervasive as it is today.
Who
Let's
used
be
to
honest.
hang out for over 2 hours a day after school are down to 40 minutes. The rest of
Wow.
that time swallowed by screens.
Damn.
9
That's
hours
crazy.
of screen time every single day.
That is crazy. Yeah, after school, people used to hang out for hours. I didn't know it was down to 40 minutes now. Are you any
Damn.
like early Gen Zers in my chat? Like I'm an elder Gen Z, but like, is that true?
79%
I
of
think
Gen
so,
Z
yeah.
says they feel lonely. The average person now says they have 2 close friends. It
Wow.
used to be 5. 1 in 6 men says he has none. South Korea just posted a fertility rate of 0.75, the lowest
Yeah.
any nation has ever recorded in human history.
Yeah, they're gonna be pretty much extinct in like 100 years if they don't fix that.
In Japan, over half of men in their 20s are
Mori, how do you want them to fix that? Just think about it. How do you want this whole population, this Gen Z population, to fix that situation? How? We got screens, we got iPads, we got laptops, we have cars that are connected to screens with Bluetooth. What more do you think we should do? Literally, there is nothing we can't save the shit. Who's we? We can't do shit. We can't do shit as a society.
virgins.
Wow.
China saw more marriages disappear in a single year than some countries have people. And the part nobody wants to talk about? Young men and young women are no longer just drifting apart romantically. They're splitting apart ideologically. The
Yep.
gender gap in the 2024 election was 31 points.
Yep, the whole political bullshit that people are like so infatuated with, not realizing that both sides are controlled by like very small entities. It's an oligarchy being lobbied. Both sides are being lobbied essentially by the same people, just hedging bets on on who's gonna win. Regardless of who wins, the people at the top are still gonna basically get what they want. It's not a conspiracy at this point. And also with social media, just standards have become way too high. People are way too diluted. People think they have many more options than they really have, and it really has fueled a lot of narcissism, a lot of ego, and just a lot of, I would just say, just disgusting behavior. Anyway,
young men swung to the right, young women went further left. They're consuming different media, adopting different values, and building separate realities.
Totally
and neither
different
side
world.
has much interest in crossing over. This
Facts.
is a story about loneliness, screens, economics, politics, dating apps, cancel culture, the death of the cold approach, and the quiet vanishing of an entire generation's intimate life.
Facts. Listen, I don't think any of this is going to be solved, and this is speaking from a guy who's seen it all. Unless you get rid of like social media, or social media becomes so stigmatized to the point to where people are forced to interact with each other and touch grass in real life. Like, I go outside and people like you see on these screens right now, they're literally just, in my generation, just looking down everywhere like robots. And I'm not gonna act like I don't do this too, but I'm very self-aware. And
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, the more that you just say, or the more that you speak more, you kind of acting like you're just an unk status. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Let's not lie, we do that as well. Even though it pisses us off to see people just bedding down like this 24/7 while walking and talking to you, we do that as well. Let's not lie, I do it as well. I do it a lot, especially when I'm waiting in line. When I'm waiting in line, I don't just like look at people. I just literally stare at the screen doing nothing. Let's be honest, we all do that, yeah? Let's be honest.
I'm not doing business on like email or Gmail or whatever, or looking at YouTube stats. I'm looking up at the sky. Unironically, I look crazy. I'm looking up at the clouds because it's just like, holy shit, I need to circumvent this, right? So yeah,
this is why Gen Z isn't having sex.
Because of phone?
All right,
Okay.
before we get into opinions, ideology, or blame, let's lay out what we actually know. Because we know a lot. The federal government has been tracking Americans' sexual behavior for decades through some of the most respected surveys in social science.
Yes, the government is very interested in the population, of course, because that is what our economy is backed
The
by.
National Survey of Family Growth, run by the CDC, is one of the gold standard data sets, and the numbers from its 2022 and 2023 wave hit like a truck. Among Americans aged 22 to 34, 24% of men reported zero sex in the past year. That's
24?
up from just 9% roughly 10 years earlier.
And let's 24% who admitted it were telling the truth. Imagine all the guys who were lying.
Not a gentle slope, a cliff.
Holy
For women
shit.
in the same age bracket, it went from 8 to 13%. Not as sharp, but still a 50% jump in a decade.
Now, that literally makes no sense. This surplus of men versus women, this means something. If you understand math, if it was equal on both sides, it would be parity. I mean, clearly, yeah. So you can do the math on
Male
that.
virginity doubled overnight. 10% of men in that age range said they had never had sex.
Clearly, basically, that surplus is going somewhere.
I'm one of those
For family studies
10%. I'm not gonna
plainly,
lie.
Sexlessness among young men had roughly doubled across every measure. For women, it's up about 50%. And this isn't just one rogue data set. The 2024 General Social Survey backed it up.
You all already know. You know the fucking, what is that toy? The Rose toy is going ham right now. There's a reason for why that went viral.
25% of men aged 18 to 29, no sex in the past year. For women, 18.5%. The Kinsey Institute, one of the most recognized names in sex research, found that 1 in 4 Gen Z adults had never had partnered sex at all. For young men, it was 1 in 3. The trend didn't just materialize at age 21. The roots go back to adolescence.
Guys, we gotta change this. Like, what are we doing, guys? The guys and girls, like, actually, what are we doing? Like, we're gonna lead our country to extinction if we don't actually get together, you know? And of course, this was only exacerbated by young people having years of their life being stolen by COVID. Let's be honest, that whole era, you know, people get mad when I say a lot of that was calculated, but okay, whatever, sure. You know, it came from nature, if that's what you want to believe. Still, you know, the heavy lockdowns, the mandated shut-ins still a lot of people's social abilities. Let's be honest.
In 2000, 80% of high school seniors had gone on a date that year. By 2023, 45%, cut nearly in half. Only 56% of Gen Z adults say they had any romantic relationship during their teen years.
That is 56% of Gen Z men. Like, that's over half of our male population in Gen Z who've not had interactions with women. No experience whatsoever. Not even, I would say, kissing. No romantic relationship whatsoever. No crushes. No holding hands. No touching, like, you know, like come on, that's crazy.
I feel like the people who do that either really are religious and won't do that shit, or I feel like they're just the type of people who are gonna act nonchalant and be like, I don't have time to go on a date or touch a woman or do this and that, and like they're acting all nonchalant, acting tough and shit like that. I feel like this is because of TikTok. Let's be honest, TikTok really got in our brains like you gotta be tough, don't focus on women, women are a distraction and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just saying TikTok does that to a man. Let's be honest.
To 78% of boomers, 76% of Gen X, 45% of Gen Z men had zero relationship experience as teenagers.
What the fuck
That's
is a
double the
boomer?
rate of older generations. The CDC's Youth Risk Behavior Survey shows that only 32% of high school students in 2023 had ever had sexual intercourse.
So I'm going to again blame social media, rising standards, compare and contrast on social media, lack of third places, and things just being incredibly expensive. How are you as a guy going to take a girl out if what used to be $1 or $2 on the McDonald's value meal is now like $5, $6, $7, $8, right? Meanwhile, we're competing with the entire world. A lot of jobs that were relegated to for teenagers back in the day are now like actual grown people are holding them. So essentially, teenagers are not able to get jobs as easy as they used to be able to get them, and young people are now having to compete with AI and just like cheap foreign labors that corporations keep selling us out for. So it's ridiculous. I mean, things are expensive, lack of third places, social media addiction. People can, get dopamine hits from unlimited access, from doom scrolling and other, online activities.
In
It's crazy.
2021, that number was 54%. So we're not just staring at a blip. This is a generational shift, one that started in the teenage years and accelerated into adulthood.
Hey, when you don't have anybody to teach you these things when you're a kid as a teenager, of course, when you become an adult, you're not going to learn. Who's going to teach you unless you try to teach yourself? So it makes sense.
Now, here's where the story goes from young people aren't hooking up to something much bigger. Because the decline in sex doesn't exist in a vacuum. It sits on top of a collapse in friendship, socializing, and basic human contact. The Atlantic's Derek Thompson coined a term for it, the antisocial century. And the numbers back him up. Americans historically spent 6.5 hours a week with friends between 2014 and 2019 before COVID.
But I don't know about this info though, because yesterday I was out with my friends and we spent like from 2 p.m. till 10:30 or maybe 11 p.m. That's like 8 to 9 hours. Like yesterday, 2026. I don't know what you mean friends per week, 35 minutes a day. You know what I mean? Like I'm telling you, I don't spend like 30 minutes with my friends. My friends and I, we spend like at least a good 3 hours minimum with each other. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know about that info. But again, it's from 2024. So maybe 2026 is a whole different thing. We don't know.
That dropped to 4. By 2024, the average American was getting 35 minutes of in-person social time per day, down from 42 a decade earlier.
So historically 6.5 for all of, I guess, human history. Then before COVID, 2019, 4 hours. And then after COVID, 35 minutes a day, I think. That's nuts. Like, of course, this is, again, let me not head into my conspiratorial, mode right now. But hey, the damage is done. This is not healthy. How do you expect man and woman to come together, or just on a friendship basis, a friend group, to form long-lasting relationships if people are not in close proximity to each other? Now, I would say technically there's nothing stopping people from doing these things. It's easier to contact each other via social media, and there's not that sense of mystery anymore, or that sense of urgency anymore when you have instant access to everyone, right? You're not longing for these people anymore because you can just hop on Discord, hop on Skype for those of you. Does that even still exist? I don't know. Google Meets, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and see these people, right? You don't have to actually head to their house anymore. You can literally just talk to them with these modern technologies. It's sad, actually.
Robert Putnam documented the decline years ago. By 2000, Americans were 58% less likely to attend a club meeting and 45% less likely to have friends over than they were 25 years earlier. COVID wiped out even more of what was left. For young people, unstructured time has been slashed. Helicopter parenting, overscheduled childhoods, and the share of adults 25 to 34 living with their parents doubled from 9% in 2000 to 18 in 2023.
I gotta say, I don't know anybody in my age group. Again, I'm like literally the only one anyone who has the ability, of course, because of my position, to live by themselves and afford things. But literally everyone I know is either living with a roommate or they live with their parents or something, some way, shape, or form. Like they have no stability or independence, and that there's nothing wrong with that. I actually advocate for that. Live with your people, live with your parents, live with a roommate, and save and stack bread. Of course, I think we should be doing that. Unironically, that's actually forcing community, people to come together and be in close proximity to each other, which I think is cool. But
It's only cool if you live with your friends. I'm not gonna lie. Like living with your family, sure, 100%. I'll take that. No matter what. Yes, family always comes first. But living with a roommate, fuck no. Imagine you just buy like something and then the next day it's gone because your roommate is a bitch and finished it. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. I can live alone. I can. But if you're talking about living with your best friend, like your day one homies, take me there. 10,000%. 10,000%. You and your homies in the same crib. What can ever go wrong? Obviously shit can go wrong, but like, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna have fun. You're gonna have fun.
Sign of the economic times that we live in and the instability. Clearly, like, people are struggling.
Privacy for romance? Good luck.
That's the issue. Privacy for romance. If you're literally living with your mom or dad or parents or whatever it's going to be hard to actually have a girl over to chill and actually do things with her that you would want to do, right?
And here's the painful irony. 58% of Gen Z says they'd prefer to meet a romantic partner in person. They want organic connections. They just don't have the places, the time, or for many of them, the social skills to make it happen.
Of course, people want serendipity. They want happenstance. They want to feel like there's some spark, some connection there. And that is what I see, you know, on my daily, what do we call adventures? My daily rendezvous. People actually they're tired they're burnt out of the internet shit. They're burnt out of the digital age and they want authenticity. And I can see it. I can definitely see that. iPhone. Yeah, social media age popped up 2006, 2007, right?
Nearly every dataset converges on the same inflection point,
Yep.
somewhere between 2010 and 2015. That's when smartphones became basically universal among teenagers.
Yep.
Jonathan Haidt calls it the Great Rewiring. Gene Twenge analyzed surveys covering...
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I got my first phone I was like 12 or some shit.
Exactly. Yes, even he got a 12. I got my first phone in 12. Nowadays I see children with the phone at the age of 9 or owning like an iPhone 15 Pro Max, bro. What the fuck? My first phone was like an iPhone 5 or some shit. Or even using my mom's phone to play games or watch YouTube. We all did that. All of us. If you know what I'm talking about. All Gen Z out there.
Flip phone from AT&T. Mind you, I was a kid, so my hands were smaller, and even that phone could fit in the palms of my hands, and I could like wrap my hands around it. Like, yo, I'm
over 11 million young people, and found that.
But then my dad a year later got me like one of those flip phones, and ultimately it got stolen. Some guys robbed me. It was like not a flip phone. It was like the touchscreen slide out keyboard AT&T phone. It was so cool too, and I got robbed. It was like in some park, like by a skate rink. But
Teens
anyway,
in the 2010s spent a full hour less per day on face-to-face socializing than teens in the 80s, even though they actually had more free time. Gen Z now averages over 6 hours a day on their phone.
That is crazy.
Nearly 70% say they're addicted, and the displacement is measurable. The Institute for Family Studies found that weekly in-person social time among young adults roughly halved.
All right, so we hear all the stats. We all already know this. If you're a Gen Z, you likely know either you're experiencing this yourself or you have a brother or sister. Even if you're a parent, you see your kids, you have your friends, you see the problem, you see the issue. And this is a very self-aware, self-identifiable issue. Now, how do you solve this? Literally just go outside and start making friends. But here's the thing, easier said than done, because you try to talk to a Gen Z people or person, bro, they're so it's like people have lost all ability to socialize. And this is why I'm so glad that I was a kid, where I had part of my childhood before social media became so rapid or prevalent or pervasive.
I am privileged
because at least I
enough
got to
to
experience, a life with people who actually talk normally or didn't feel that awkwardness of socializing.
True, bro. I'm actually privileged enough to do the same, but because right now at 18, if you want to make friends right now in 2026, I'm not saying it's impossible, but imagine you just woke up to him, you were telling him shit, and this guy is just making stuff up from TikTok memes or brain rot. You tell him something, and this guy takes it as a joke and at the TikTok. Imagine you're counting numbers, and this guy's like, oh, you said 6, 7. Oh God, I'm slapping him myself. But back then, no, they were normal. They know how to speak. Everything was fine. Nowadays, do you see them like copying people on TikTok, the way they talk? It's like you're not talking your way. You're talking the same guy on YouTube. Just be yourself, bro, and be confident, and you're good, bro. Trust me. This generation, if you're confident, wallahi, you're winning anything.
So if you were a Gen Z person who are struggling with this, you're just gonna have to force it. Kind of. You're gonna have to actually walk up to people and talk to them, because those people likely are not gonna walk up to you and talk to you, unfortunately. And then check this.
And
check
that
this
drop
out.
started well before COVID. Here's the one thing that might freak you out.
Here it comes.
According to the American Time Use
keep
survey, the typical female pet owner now spends more time with her pet than in face-to-face
What the
contact
fuck?
with her
What
friends.
the
Let
fuck?
that sit for a second.
Let that sink in. That is crazy, guys. Again,
Between
what are we doing?
80 and 90% of young adults report having been exposed to pornography. The average first exposure, somewhere between ages 10 and 13. Among
Yep,
men
that's
under 30,
accurate.
about 17% use it daily, 2.5 times the rate of older men. Heavy use has been linked to lower rate of sexual satisfaction, weaker commitment.
Yeah, you see that first exposure, age 10 to 13. That's why I'm not giving my son a phone at 8, bro. I'm telling you, my first phone was at the age of 12, bro, and it was some dumbass phone, bro. So I never knew about this shit. Saying, people are gonna be like, why won't you give your son a phone? I might give him a phone, but obviously I'm gonna have like a screen lockdown, because you know, at the end of the day, he's just a kid, you know. Like, let's just continue.
In relationships, and for roughly 45% of heavy male users, erectile dysfunction.
Again, that's the problem with instant dopamine, right? I talk shit about Amazon and how Amazon has basically shuttered mom and pop stores, and you wonder why we have lack of third places. You have these mega conglomerates who are basically monopolizing, and what's the word? They're just absorbing everything, you know, where you would have a brick and mortar to get particular products like a Best Buy or a B&H, a Blockbuster back in the day, or a Toys R Us. Now all of that is gone, gone the way of the dodo, because Amazon has essentially absorbed all our cultural icons, our third places. Malls are now, a lot of malls outside of major cities are just desolate now, right? Again, because every store has to compete with Amazon or a Walmart.
I mean, it's
these
better.
mega supermarkets, and does Amazon have, like, did Amazon replace those third places? No. Is Walmart, I mean, some people hang out at Walmart, that is crazy, but yeah, you get the point. You have one, ease of access, instant dopamine, instant cart, 2-day shipping, and you trade it off for social ability. You trade it off for actually having physical contact and being in the presence of people while you're out and about looking for a particular thing. The byproduct of pursuing a particular product or service usually came with socializing with people in the real world. Now that you can order anything literally with the click of a button straight to your door within 48 hours, we've traded that off for essentially human contact.
But there's one important wrinkle. The casual direction is debated, and one finding really complicates the narrative that porn alone is driving this. Gay men haven't seen comparable declines in sexual activity,
What
even
the
though
fuck?
they
Wonder
consume
why.
porn and play video games at a similar or higher rates. So whatever's happening, it's not as simple as screens replaced sex.
Well, I mean, gay guys, based off of my experience, are just very chill people, very relaxed and very straightforward. There's not this whole song and dance of like, there's just no run around. Like, gay guys, I'm telling you, like, a guy as a guy, I'm gonna be honest, who has been hit on by multiple guys throughout my entire life.
No fucking way.
Yeah, these guys are just very straightforward and honest. I kind of respect that, although they kind of go too far sometimes if they are actually into you. So yeah, that is something obviously heterosexual males and females struggle with, because people are just, I don't like the games either. If we like each other, let's make.
Wait, did people turn into to like men be gay because they can't find a woman, or were they born gay, or did they just see that they love, or like they have more interest in men than women? How does that even work? How? Like, that ass, how do you even manage to do that?
That known, we understand the vibe, and let's see what happens after that. But yeah.
Pew found 64% of men who tried online dating felt insecure from the lack of responses.
Yeah.
54%
Well, it's okay, bro.
of women felt overwhelmed by too many.
Yeah, because men are the thirsty gender and women are, well, they have a lot of options on dating apps, essentially.
So one side of the market is starving and the other side is drowning, and
Yeah.
both walked away frustrated. If you've spent any time with the phrase, the 80-20 rule, the idea that
What's that?
80% of women are only interested in the top 20% of men.
Well, to be specific, they're not only interested in the top 20%, but that is the first preference. Like, that is the preference in terms of the
So
group.
let's unpack. The claim didn't come from any peer-reviewed study. It traces back to a 2015 blog post on Medium by an anonymous user who ran a rough statistical analysis on Tinder data. The author
What?
himself admitted flaws in his methodology. The related talking point cites OkCupid's 2009 internal data, which showed that women rated 80% of male profiles as below average in attractiveness. this.
Brutal.
That sounds devastating until you look deeper. Those same women still message the men they'd rated poorly.
Exactly. That's why you got to specify. It's a preference. It's not like an absolute, right? It's not like 80% of men are literally getting no play out here, but it is a preference, right? It's like going into an ice cream shop and getting your preferred flavor. But if they're out of your preferred flavor, which may have been strawberry or vanilla or chocolate, you may settle for pistachio. It's okay, but it's like not what you wanted at first.
Meanwhile, men funneled almost all their messages to the most attractive women.
So women, they rate the men who they gave him like a 1 out of 10. So you're saying now in this generation, like, let's just talk about Marlon. That Marlon is a 10, yet he still gets played. What the fuck, bro? I think that's a false info. So you're telling me if you're a monger, you get shit play? What the fuck? What the fuck? No, I swear to God, this needs to go, bro. I think I heard enough, bro. Fuck.
A 2025 study of 4,500 speed dates found that face-to-face is the gender selectivity gap. The gender selectivity gap is far smaller than on apps.
Of course, because on apps, dating apps, it's about your physicality mostly. That's what that's about. Let's be honest here. In person, there's pheromones, like actually, because we're animals. Of course, you can physical contact, you can see aura, like not literally, but your body, physical contact. You can see someone's breathing, their pulsation, like their body language. You can see them flustering their hairs, looking away. Like these things are natural. And this is why I harp on the fact that social media and our addiction to these platforms I believe is one of the leading contributors of the fracturing of men and women dating.
Men said yes about half the time, women about a third. That's a 1.5 times difference, not the 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 ratio that you see on swiping platforms. The 80-20 rule is a massive oversimplification. It reflects something real about how dating apps concentrate attention, but it is not evidence that 80% of men are invisible to women in the real world.
Right, the real world. This is why I gotta make this distinction. We gotta get rid of social media. We got, like, in terms of dating apps, they have to go. They're retarded. Like, they're actually bad.
True.
And I genuinely believe they're not good for the psychology of males or females, to be honest. Me, daddy, that's
more
all I know.
likely to get their news from YouTube, where recommendation algorithms can funnel viewers towards manosphere content. Young women consume content that reinforces progressive frameworks. They're building worldviews in parallel that barely overlap, and they're supposed to sit across from each other at dinner and find common ground.
That's
it's
facts.
not working.
Yeah, no. Like, the thing is, if a man and a woman, and it's just funny to me, if they don't have shared values in a country, politically, ideologically, even just socially, then there's nothing to talk about, right? Because I don't know, some guys do like conform to a woman's standards, but like there's a lot of guys who don't. Like for me, example, I have my values and my principles, and I'm pretty much like not changing them in dating, because I have my beliefs, I have my perspectives, and pretty much I'm not gonna change my values just because I want vagina. That's like crazy. Was this before social media? Someone said, dude, I need a guy like you. Well, I'm single. Ha ha ha. No, but I am single. I know, but like, no. They said, OMG, yeah, I can come over later. Another person said, sweet, you can pick the movie. She said, how tall are you? He said 5'7". Ha ha. Why? She said nothing. Just wondering, oh my God, my friend is stuck at the airport and I have to go get her tonight. I'm so sorry, bro.
That is crazy. That is crazy. You just said your height, and she just switched up on your ass. Switched up. You planned a date. She agreed. That's a W. You told her you're 5'7". Out of there. I feel so fucking bad. You know what? Hope this guy isn't heartbroken.
That is brutal. That is actually brutal. What the fuck? Wow. Hey, man. I don't know.
Imagine this. It's 2004. You're at a bar. You spot someone across the room. You walk up. You say something. Maybe it's smooth. Probably it isn't. But either way, it's a private moment between two people.
Yeah.
Nobody recorded it. Nobody posted it. Nobody got their life ruined for taking a shot. Fast forward to today. Gen Z is the first generation to go through puberty and young adulthood entirely under the microscope. Every awkward encounter, every rejected pickup line, every cringy DM can be screenshotted, posted, shared mocked and archived forever.
And you wonder why a lot of young men
Cancel culture started
are not approaching women because, first of all,
Exactly.
everything with the surveillance state, CCTV, TikTok, Snapchat, everything. Like, you approach a girl, she doesn't like you or is not attracted to you for whatever reason, she pulls out her phone and now she wants to clown you, or her friends are doing it, or somebody across the way, because everybody wants to film everything. Nothing is organic. Like, I'm gonna end the video with this. People feel spied on. People don't feel comfortable anymore. Social media, dating apps, doom scrolling, goy slop, what else? Ridiculous standards, compare and contrast, lack of third spaces, inflation, the devaluing of our dollar, fracturing political, ideological, social, culture, the ongoing online gender war. Yeah, no shit as to why, you know, young Gen Z and younger generations are struggling. I mean, who could have seen this one coming, right? So honestly, I don't know how we're gonna solve this. All I can say is, guys, enjoy the ride. It's gonna be a long and bumpy one.
I hope you guys did enjoy that video. Really got nothing much to say, bro, but we finished. We are actually cooked as a generation. And anyways, yep, that's the end of that video. Hope you guys do have a blessing day. See you guys on the next one, and peace.